Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Awaking Happiness. Good morning, Desi.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Chris. This one
Hello.
is a nice topic. I like it.
Okay, so today we're talking about abundance. And if you like the topics that we're referring to and we're talking about, and these conversations provide some value to you, then please do like this video. This one's a good one. You might want to like it straight away. Uh, and yeah, and follow, subscribe to the channel and tick that little bell there so you get notified every time we put a new video up, which is most days. So today, abundance, Desi, and wow, we have mentioned this before in other videos, abundance, because it's abundant. Everywhere is abundance, but we've got some slightly different takes on it today because we were talking about this, and we just started going back down the allotment again, and that. That we're reminded about abundance all the time, and a moment we're abundant with weeds, which is just nature's way of basically just getting on with things, because that's what it does. It just gets on with things. It's You got some space, it just fills it up. That's the way nature is. There's no space that gets left unutilized for something or other. And we were we I mean, I've got some a picture here from last year, which is kind of like a good intro to this, which is this one here. I'll just flash it up on the screen. There you go. Look at the abundance that we have right there. I mean, it's amazing that like you've got abundance in vegetables and fruit there. You know,
We've got flowers on the background. Look at the
but
abundance
look at
of
the
flowers.
abundance in the flowers. Yeah, I mean, you might be difficult to see, but like underneath those white flowers, which are called alyssum on the right hand side there, well, they're both on the left and on the right.
Under the orange ones.
Yeah, under the orange ones, which are marigolds, on the floor there are a load of seeds that have fallen off, and like last year they even started growing between the cracks on that decking as they began to germinate late in the season. And it was like, it's just remarkable, really, that nature just gets on and just does, there's no stopping the thing, is there? It's like it's amazing. And like all these vegetables, and like there's cucumbers there, there's uh, courgettes, tomatoes of different varieties, runner beans, basil, parsley, cabbage. Like just, and that, this is just a small subset of what we were able to grow. And what we were talking, weren't we, about like within one tomato, one single tomato, of which there are a number there, right? This was quite early in the season, so it was in terms of the tomatoes, quite early for us. These were our first, second, or third picking or so. But inside a tomato are more seeds than we grew plants last year in one single tomato. Now, if you think of the like how many kilograms we got of tomatoes in total yesterday, not yesterday, like
Last year.
last year.
Yeah.
How many tomato plants could we produce from all those tomatoes? The answer is just like
Thousands.
tens
Mm.
of thousands, just from this little bit of land that we're growing on here. And those marigolds on the right hand side there, those orange plants, and on the left down by the fence there, how many seeds could we have harvested from all of those in order to produce the next year's flowers? Like just unreal
Mm.
how many how much is available in nature. And most of it just goes completely unnoticed by us, and we it just ends up going in the compost or whatever. But
Or animals, wildlife eats it.
yeah, wildlife eats it. Like we moan about slugs and stuff, and yesterday, for example, we were harvesting potatoes, right? And we were laughing because it's quite late in the season, and the longer you leave potatoes in the ground, the more chance there's going to be something eats it. I mean, that just makes sense. It just the soil's full of bits and pieces. So you're going to get wire worms, you're going to get particular types of other types of worms, you're going to get all sorts of things, slugs, all sorts of things. Like during the -4 this morning, during these cold times, they're going to bury themselves in the ground, and if there's a food source there, they're going to munch on it, aren't they? I mean, it makes it like in actual fact, we're helping the local nature to keep going because we're planting these potatoes and we're leaving them in the soil. Now, I reckon that half of those potatoes that we planted, and we planted, I don't know, maybe 60 or so potatoes.
Maybe even less. I don't know. Some
Okay.
of them we cut in pieces, yeah, and they
Yeah.
still grew.
Basically, from there, we've already had quite a lot of potatoes already. We left them in now too long, and now but yesterday, I think there was probably how many, like, five
About
pounds in weight, like
20,
two,
maybe
two,
20 potatoes.
yeah, maybe 2 or 3 kilos, maybe a bit
Mm-mm.
more than that of potatoes. And there were 2 or 3 kilos, maybe 4 kilos of potatoes that had been eaten to death. You couldn't have eaten them. They were basically hollowed out, and they'd eaten them all.
Jumped.
But there was enough planted and enough potatoes for all of us. Yeah, all the wildlife does. And I basically peeled. There was a few bits and pieces inside them in terms of holes and whatnot, but I basically peeled them and cleaned them up. And I I think it was like 3 or 4 small ones and 3 big ones, and I've got a big pile of mashed potato now. Right now, there's enough for me, and there's enough for you, and there's
Yeah,
enough.
even mine as well. There were 2 or 3 holes in them, but that was all right. The
Yeah,
majority was there.
yeah, and there was enough for the wildlife. So it's like people complain, but it's like, well, just grow a bit more then, and then there's going to be enough for you and enough for everything everyone else. It's like it's abundant, and we've got some cabbages that we haven't got round to eating. We haven't starved. We've got, but they're gradually being munched away by the wildlife on there because that it's food, it's there, and no one seems to be caring too much about whether they eat it or not. So just getting on with it, and the remains of it we'll put in the compost heap, which will go into the soil and produce more stuff next time. So, it's what I'm saying is that like there's no need to get all worked up about the wildlife. There's enough for us all. It's a bit difficult to get over the hurdle of I put this stuff in, it's mine, and I don't want anybody else touching it.
I get a bit defensive of my produce.
Yeah,
I worked hard for this. I don't want you to eat it.
especially if they're
You
young.
horrible slug.
Yeah, especially if they're young, and like, but yeah, they can only eat so much, and you can put traps up and support, like trying to minimize the damage they do. But at the end of the day, it's their garden as well, isn't it? And we
Mm.
just have to grow more or keep them away until they're a bit bigger, and then put them out. And like they probably won't like them as much because they get a bit more woody as they get a bit bigger plants, and the slugs don't like eating them as much. So there are ways round it to be, like wildlife friendly, so to speak.
Yeah, so as I'm listening to you, Chris, I'm thinking, yeah, you go outside and you see so many grass blades coming out, especially now that we're weeding. There's so many little bigger clumps of grass and smaller just starting little seeds that germinated and popping out. So there's so many different weeds that came out of nowhere. We didn't plant them, and they just appeared
Mm,
and germinated, and they're showing themselves up now. So we go out in nature and we see this abundance and proliferation of any kind. Whatever
Mm.
the environment is good for, that will grow. If it's not good for it, it won't grow, but something else will. So there's always something that's growing, that's growing.
Yeah.
Even in the colder winter, even in the heat of summer, something is growing. And then we go into our houses, into our flats, into our offices, into places where we spend the most of our days. Not us do now, but I used to do this. So I would go up in the morning, rush at 7:30 to the car, defrost it if it was winter like now, and then drive like my life depended on me being there on time. And I couldn't see the trees, the trees for what was it? The wood for the trees.
Yeah.
And you think, oh my goodness, there isn't enough time, there isn't enough this, there isn't enough. So we end up with the completely opposite of appreciation of abundance
Mm.
because we just can't see it. It's not anywhere around us. Yeah, in my case, I went to a school with full of classroom full of children, and that was kind of maybe I should have been more grateful for having see children. It's abundance, it's joy, it's our next um, the next generation of the humanity, growing under my care. But I didn't see that. I saw stress, I saw lack, I saw um, uh, meeting deadlines and meeting expectations and all sorts.
Mm.
And when I was in the really, really struggling with the coping with the workload, um, the advice was go at lunchtime and enjoy the wooded area because we were happy. We were very fortunate to have a wildlife area, little lawn. Not little. It used to be quite a big field, and then it got cut off, and the new school was
Mm.
built on it. But there was this nature reserve, what we call the nature reserve, and the little wooded area. Go out and have a little wander around this and uh, have a break. Well, did I do it? Probably once, and I was more stressed. Didn't see any abundance because I was told go and relax because you've got to come back to work and be stressed again. So, did I relax? No. Did I enjoy the abundance? Did I see any abundance? No. All I saw was, oh, am I wasting my time here? I need to go back to finish my jobs because I've got so much to do. And it's a never ending story. It's a never self perpetuating.
Well, you've got to learn. Not you got to, but people still have to learn how to unwind the society so they can relax and de-stress. Because I think that's a skill, isn't it? Like if you've developed a skill getting into the stress area, you, you probably
Hmm.
need another skill to get into the de-stressed area. Like they're not, like you said, all you're doing is walking around the woods thinking about what I've got to do this afternoon.
Exactly. And so it seems like humans who we can't survive without nature because we are just an integral part of it. It's who we are. It's nature. We just have created this illusion that we are something more important than nature. We have this intellect, we have this ego talking, we have this, oh, I'm better than you kind of idea. Oh, farmers, like in my case, I thought farmers were low life. I'm sorry, farmers. I really apologize if you're a farmer, but that was my growing up mentality. This is what I was taught that I needed to learn to be intelligent, to go to university and do something with myself instead of just uh, think about farming and growing and nature. What's this bollocks? No. And so we humans, with this idea that we are better than, we have kind of lost the abundance that's around us, and now it needs to be. And when people say, "Oh, you're abundant," and I couldn't really understand this, I said, "What are you talking about? Look at me. I'm so stressed. I'm not abundant. There's nothing abundant about this. It's full of stress. I've got to do planning lessons. I've got to mark books. Yeah, there is an abundance of work, but there is.
Well,
I'm
like,
not abundant.
well,
I
like
can't cope.
you're right in the, like the thing is, right, everything that we do at the end of the day is fueled by farming. Yeah, like if you don't grow anything, the human race dies. Like it can't be sustained on going around picking a few berries here and there off the trees, and like it can't be sustained because I mean the people who know how to do that would live probably because the others would go to the shops and there wouldn't be anything there. So there wouldn't be very much abundance. Let's put it like that. But like everything comes from farming. So you grow wheat, it allows you to sell that wheat and buy something else. You farm rice, it allows the economy is basically economies started just at that level. You can't, and
It's
unless it
true.
can,
Yeah, I don't know where I got this impression
well,
because my
because
dad was deeply connected to agriculture, and maybe he had a bit of a, well, the kind of people that he worked with, maybe they weren't too intelligent. But I don't know where I got this impression that farmers are not very intelligent. But I'm
well,
sorry, farmers, I think you are amazing now.
the thing
I
is,
want to be a farmer myself.
the thing is that to produce food requires effort. It does require effort, right? You have to prepare the soil, you have to germinate, you have to plant, you have to tender and look after these things, and then you have to harvest, and you have to get next year's seeds, and like it's a whole year's experience. There's not, you have some time to rest at Christmas and or not Christmas, but that time of the year in the winter, there's
Winter
probably
time.
two
Yeah.
months where you can plan next year, and there's work to do, but it's inside work, not really too much outside work, maybe because it's just too cold. But I know that like the generation wants their children to basically have an easier life than they had.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
in the eyes of your parents, for example, like living in a small village, like being deeply involved in hard graft work of like farming and then teaching the farmers' kids, right? They'd rather that you were in a city, nice cushy number in a city, enjoying, like an office based thing, you're not getting too cold or anything, and plenty of money and being able to kind of live a more luxurious kind of lifestyle. That's what my parents wanted for us. They weren't involved in agriculture, but it was printing and like my mum was involved in office work, but basically they wanted the kids to do better than they did. That was the goal, and consequently, like education was important because getting the brains, you could go on and do something which was like more intelligence required, better than they did. And it's like the old days. It was like, what skill are you going to get? What can you provide for the village? Oh, you seem to be quite good. Do you like metal work and stuff? Why don't you go and become uh, um,
The
somebody
black.
that, yeah, blacksmith, or oh, you love baking. Hey, there's a cake shop. Let's have a cake shop. Or you like go, you like plants. Okay, well, go get some job in the either the germination area or or whatever else, or seed harvesting or whatever. But there was always something, there was an abundance of work because everything's needed. If you like weaving, go make some cloth and stuff and find out how we can create better versions of these things over time. And even like health, which we come on to now, is like in nature is everything humans need. Absolutely everything to be able to, you know, essentially keep us healthy. Now we
Restore
may
the
not
balance. Yeah, restore the balance.
we may not know what these things are, but for example, like it may be that you've had a child and you're a bit anemic, and somebody that knows how to spot this condition without going to the hospital and doing blood tests and everything else. Someone who can spot you're lethargic, you don't want to eat very much and all this kind of stuff might say, do you know what, that could be anemia. Well, they wouldn't probably know what it was, but they could probably say, oh, I've seen this before. Have some nettle soup or mix these things in with your dinner and you'll feel better. So they basically mix some of this stuff in. They've no idea why, but basically they've met a condition and they've met a product, like something that does it. Nettles can be everywhere. They are everywhere. Why are they everywhere then? Why do you think nettles are everywhere? Well, because there's probably quite a big need for it. How much iron tablets to get sold in a year, right? Now, nature's got a solution right there on our doorstep, right? It grows in all the rubbishy places where nothing else grows, right? It grows in corners where there's a load of rubbish. It just grows everywhere. You can go and harvest those things and put them in a meal. You won't even know they're there. You
And
won't
it's
even,
interesting that it comes out and is the tastiest and the richest in what we need at springtime, when we have not had enough sun
yeah.
during the winter, we haven't had enough fresh air maybe because it was cold, we didn't want to spend a lot of time in the open, and so our body is kind of used its resources, its stocks of, I don't know, minerals, nutrients, whatever. And now we're coming out, and the nettles is coming out, and we pick that and we
Mm.
eat that.
And
And
you
so
know,
it restores the balance, and you become a bit more of a like, oh, okay, I've got more energy now.
you just think about food in general, right? I'm probably not the only one, but during the summer when it's hot, right? I don't want to sit there and eat a roast dinner. what I
Oh,
want,
okay. I think we
what I
mentioned
want,
that on another episode, but yeah,
what
go
I
on.
want are tomatoes. What I want are nice, juicy, liquid-filled things
To
that
cool you down.
quench my thirst, are not too heavy for me to digest, and allow me to basically cool down maybe a little bit if it's one of those cooling things, right? In the winter, when I'm cold, I need stuff which generates heat. Potatoes are quite good for that stuff, Swedes, heavy
Root
root
vegetables.
vegetables,
Mm.
because basically they help you with your, to generate heat. They need you to basically, you need lots of food, and these things are good things to give your body some more. Now, this isn't an accident, is it? This didn't just like, oh, right, well, let's grow some potatoes, because no, potatoes go in March and they're ready. They're ready towards the end of the summer, and they keep well. Oh, well, someone wrote that program quite well, didn't they? Yeah, that was nature, right? Why did they write the program for nettles to come out in spring then? So that was thoughtful. That was a
Yeah,
thoughtful thing for someone to do. Well,
yeah.
you might call it nature knows best. You might call it God. You might call it, whatever, Buddha. You might call it whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's this overriding, this thing which provides everything in abundance when it's needed. And
So
yet,
there, I read somewhere for every ailment there is a herb somewhere there that's growing. We just need to know about it. And you know
exactly,
what's the most interesting thing these days is I've been using this wild orange.
right.
It's an essential oil. Well, I have had this for a long time. Well, this is not my first bottle because sometimes the company gives you as a present and whatnot. So, but I haven't. I like orange. I like orange juice. Like everybody likes orange juice.
Mm.
But this is different. This is the oil from the rind, and I, I have known that this is the I have known that this is the oil of joy and abundance. Intellectually, I have known this for a very long time. And do you think I used it when I was really stressed at school? No. I couldn't stand the smell of it. Oh yeah, this is wild orange. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, it smells nice, but it's not for me. This was my reaction then, when they were telling me to go in the forest and in the nature reserve and to relax. Um, it was the same with this. Have some wild orange. Nah, I'm stressed. Don't talk to me about wild orange. But recently I've been using it as perfume, so I'm just putting a few drops. And I'm putting it on myself like this. Like this morning I used it on my on my armpits as perfume. Oh, and it's so amazing. I just can't have enough of it these days.
Well, maybe it's not it causes abundance. Maybe when you're thinking in terms of abundant, that's when it becomes important.
Yeah, but it's maybe more of a, if I had persisted with this, and because I wasn't in the right mindset. If I had persisted with it and it was always in my field, maybe it would have made me to quit that job sooner, because I would realize that this is what I want. When I smell it, this is what I want. I don't want that stupid stressful job. Although it was full of all these other fears that were going on around, if I were to quit it, what would happen then? So I don't know, but this is, I can't have enough of this wild orange these days. It's so amazing. And actually, if you read in my, I have this book here. You might have seen this. People might have seen it. It's called Gifts of the Essential Oils, and it talks about wild orange. And why I love it these days is because it says my gift to you is joy, and it's the oil of abundance, manifestation, and harmony. And as you use it, you can be repeating a mantra, an affirmation of I choose to live joyously this day. So
Yeah, I mean it's
happiness, the happiness oil.
and I think like it just brings us back to the point that we it comes down, it's all linked. At the end of the day, we don't have to go out and like get amazing things, because amazing things are around us all the time if we but stop to notice them. And
Mm.
in most of our lives where our minds are absolutely occupied with anything but nature. And
Yeah,
jobs,
that's right.
stress, not feeling well, uh, got to do this, got to do that. This illusion that we create in our mind, this deluded world that we built up about who we are, what we are, all the stuff around us, the getting one up on people, the manipulation and corruption and money. Like it's just, I mean, I can't. Yeah, like when you can't tell people this stuff though. It's not possible to say. You have to. I mean, my opinion is, and that's why some of these, when people say, "Oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that," it's like you can't. You've got to go at your own pace. Really,
Yeah.
you have to just. And I think the allotment, like I might have said, like years ago, oh, I know how to grow things. I can grow things. I can stick a, like I know you need some soil, you need water. I know how they best germinate. I know what you do, where you put it, and what happens afterwards, and you're moving it on, repotting it into something. I can do that stuff. But I never wanted to do that stuff. I can do it, but I don't want to. But there's something now very satisfying about going down the allotment, like being pleased there's some food left, like that it hasn't all been eaten by
Mm.
nature,
In the
being able
winter.
to harvest that, and like, okay, it's not, we're not talking about parsnips that look amazing in this long, lovely shape, and you just get the whole thing, and no, you have to do a lot of work to get the parsnip, because it looks a bit more like some other vegetable, like a stunted weird thing. And you've got to get all the dirt out from
Well,
the nooks.
it's because we didn't provide the right environment.
Yeah, but you got to get
That's
out
the
all
reason.
the dirt out of the nooks and crannies. It's hard work, but you know what? It's joyous work, because like I grew that. That's going to taste nice. It's a bit of extra work, maybe an extra 30 minutes or something, but then I've got this soup on and there's this wonderful smell coming from this soup, and it's like it wouldn't have been possible without the efforts. And it's just like this very, very rewarding. And it gives you enthusiasm for going back out there, and yeah, next year we can do better even.
Yeah,
How
none
can
of
we
we know
improve
what
things?
happened with this year. But yeah, going back to this abundance in nature and the lack of it in humans, and how you said that everybody needs to discover it in their own way. It's not possible to teach people about abundance. It's absolutely true. Because when I was stressed, running around like a headless chicken, trying to, cope with time and jobs and tasks and things, and people were telling me you need to slow down, notice the abundance around you, and I said, where is it? I can't see it. It's not there. It doesn't. You are just talking something that works for you, but it doesn't work for me. I have no abundance in my life. I have stress.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I have an abundance of stress.
the thing, the thing is, right, is that all of that is tied up in man-made things.
Yeah.
Abundance relates to money, and unless I have enough money, I can't buy the things I want to feel abundant.
So I'm not abundant.
So
Yeah.
I'm not abundant. And like you're telling me that look at all those blades of grass out there, then what can I do with that? Right, you're telling me about abundance in something that's absolutely useless to me,
Irrelevant to me.
irrelevant to my life. Look, there's abundance in cherry blossoms. And
So what? That's true.
yeah,
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
yeah.
Oh yeah, abundance of trees and berries and birds, and so what? I'm still struggling here.
How's that gonna help me? And yeah, like and we won't unpack that, but everyone that probably is listening to this can understand that like you're talking nonsense. There's no abundance out there. It's drivel. It's all abundance in nature, which is about as useful to me as a hang glider in a mine shaft. It's like it's not really very useful, right? And tell me about abundance in money in my bank account. That's what I want to know about, right? And and then okay, well, if you're going to focus on that and everything else, you'll remain in scarcity then, which is
So that's the
that's
opposite of abundance will be
yeah,
scarcity.
nature's reward for you is scarcity
Mm.
because you haven't even appreciated the abundance of nature and the abundance of everything around us. And there is, wherever you look, however you want
And
to look.
it all comes from your beliefs, because
Hmm.
everything in this life comes from the beliefs. So if your belief is, I need to work hard to show my worth, like in my case it was the situation, I need to prove myself on a regular basis because otherwise I'm not worthy. That
Hmm.
means that is completely the opposite of abundance, which just keeps coming without you needing to deserve it. So my belief was I need to prove myself.
Hmm.
So maybe there could be another person's belief where they think they don't deserve it, or they're ashamed of themselves, or they feel guilty about themselves. It's all sorts of varieties of mindset out there generating the scarcity or the opposite of
I mean,
abundance.
one of
And,
the,
and then
one,
as you change that, oh, there's abundance now everywhere, and I like the smell of wild orange.
I mean, like you can create a space in a day to consider things. You can create a space, and maybe just creating the space to consider how people can be talking about abundance when you haven't got any. And you could just say, okay, I'm going to discover what these people are talking about with abundance, where I'm in a zone where I don't feel I've got any abundance whatsoever. And then just investigate it and keep going with it day after day after day after day. And what that abundance as a focal point will do, I think, is it will not only reveal where abundance is, it will change your mindset irreversibly
Yeah.
into gratitude and
And
gratitude.
actually, if you're those people who have wild orange in your houses, start using it.
Mm,
Start using it while you're pondering. You can actually do some journaling.
mm.
Where is abundance in my life? Put some wild orange in your diffuser or open the bottle and you just smell it while you're writing. And it's important to do the handwriting thing as well, because it's another topic for another conversation. But that's how the thoughts are going to come, and you're going to discover this mindset that is stopping you from feeling this abundance, which is everywhere.
Yeah, but it's tough. It's tough, and if you'd have been listening to this when you were in the middle of all the stress and the school where you say time to sit around talking about abundance, you forget it.
Exactly. Oh, rather, I was in such trap. It was this. There is a loop that never stops. What it's got a name. Where if you cut a strip of paper and then you twist it and then you stick the ends together, it's a constant going in and out and in and out, and it's like a never-ending
Never-ending loop. Yeah.
story and a never-ending loop. That's what I was with my job.
Well, like what they say is very, very true. It's like nothing changes until it changes, and the only time it changes is when the pain of staying where you are
Yeah,
becomes less than the pain of change. Sorry, the pain of staying where you are becomes more than the pain
the
of
pain of
change.
change.
So
Yeah.
until you get to that point, you're not going to do it. But like one of the things I did, and we can talk about this on another day. There's a book out, been out for years, called Miracle Morning. And you don't have to follow the book implicitly, but within the book there are some suggestions about how you can create this bit of time which will then give you the chance to consider any subject you choose. Doesn't have to be abundance, could be anything. But without that time and without that change, nothing changes.
Yeah.
And with that bit of change, I went from reading. In fact, in the previous 10 years to that, I'd written 2 books and read none. So I'd written more books than I'd than I'd read. Right? and and once I'd done this miracle morning thing, I began to read again, and I read like 10 books in a year, which was like wow. And it's not that I'm not a big reader, not it's a different topic, different year, but I'm not an abundant reader, put it like that. But because I like to discover for myself. But sometimes you need pointers, and sometimes those things serve as pointers, and you don't have to follow the beliefs that the writer or the author has put
Yeah.
in. Anyway, okay, so that's abundance,
Right.
I think. So,
I really enjoyed this topic. I really enjoyed it. It's very dear to my heart
mm,
because I had to rediscover it. I've had
mm.
to. I was in a way. I don't know why my eyes are welling up now. I had to find this abundance the hard way.
Well, I
It's
think
so
we
amazing.
when we're kids we have abundance. When we are become adults, we have scarcity, and then
Mm,
we stick with that until, in fact, even rich people have got scarcity. They've got scarcity in people they can trust, scarcity in all sorts of things because of the environment they're in and the way they think. So they might have abundance in money, but they've got abundance. We did a subject on this. They got bugger all else in their life except money, which is
mm,
a very desolate place. So to you have to relearn it. You have to relearn what you already knew as a kid, but you didn't know what the name of it was, and then you have to relearn it as an adult, and it's not. It's very painful, and and you're a testimony to that, and me too. Like my mind's changed since the age of 30 to all sorts of different avenues, and it led and culminated in where I am right now, and it's a tough journey because life's
ah,
like
yeah. And I'm gonna finish with this: that abundance and greed are totally different things.
they're the opposites of the same coin.
Yeah, totally different things, and we shouldn't be confusing one for the other. And um, the ego is
Right.
very good at tripping us.
If you
Right.
like this topic, subscribe, click the bell, and like it. And if you've made it this far, then well done.
We'll
Thank you
get
very
lots of
much.
links on in the description for you to check these books out. And yeah.
Okay.
Ah,
So
watch us tomorrow. Bye.
thanks for watching. Bye.